Hello everyone, my name is Matt, also known as the Survivor Guy, and today I'm going to be showing you how to solve two of Survivor's most famous puzzles.
Now you start to question, what is wrong? Why can I not get a piece to fit?
That is not the piece, Rome.
Not even one piece.
Now, I've shown you how to solve a few famous Survivor puzzles already on this channel, and we've already talked about how important it is to be able to solve a puzzle in order to do well on Survivor. And as I'm recording this, season 49 is currently airing, and I think now is a good time to reiterate just how important it is to be able to solve a puzzle, because if you look at the Kele tribe, once again we have an instance of one tribe just being completely decimated in the new era of Survivor, and the commonality between every single challenge that Kele loses is the puzzle at the end.
Yes. Is that right?
It looks right. No, because then what goes here?
Oh, we're gonna reevaluate now. Something's not right.
No, that's what we're
Kele's
saying.
struggling, and it is clear
Oh my God.
they don't really have any pieces. It does not appear Kele will have any shot at winning this. I'd like to remain optimistic, but that would be foolish.
Challenge after challenge after challenge, we saw this tribe just completely fall apart on the puzzle at the end, leading to them going to tribal council after tribal council, eventually dwindling down to just 2 members before the tribes were reshuffled. So season 49 Kele tribe, this video is for you. Now, the puzzles that I'm looking at today, the fire puzzle and the tree puzzle, don't really have one set solution the way some of the other puzzles like Instant Insanity that I've done have. The way to solve these puzzles is kind of the way that you would solve any normal puzzle that you would buy at the store. The only difference here being that the Survivor puzzles you have to build from the bottom up, whereas your traditional puzzle, most people start with the border and then fill in from there. So I'm going to start with the fire puzzle, and it's probably easiest to explain how to solve this puzzle by doing it directly. Alright, so here we can see I have my fire puzzle in front of me. So this piece right here is the piece that you always start with on Survivor. Just to get this out of the way in the beginning, I am going to be building from the ground up, even though I have my pieces flat on paper and I could start with the border like you would a traditional puzzle. I want it to be as close to what you would see on Survivor as possible. So when we get to the strategy part of this, there are 2 things that you're going to be looking for. So the first is the color or the pattern of your pieces. So with this specific puzzle, what I'm going to be looking for when you have a piece like this with that yellow around the outside, well, that's the border of your puzzle. So you know, for example, a piece like this, well, this is the tip of your flame. You can see the yellow outline. A piece like this has to go on one side or the other because it has that yellow outline there. From a color standpoint, we can also tell your lighter colors, so your more yellowy, that's going to be more towards the center of your puzzle, and the further you get towards an edge, the more red or the darker the color will be. So that's the general color and pattern that we're going to be looking for when we're looking to place our pieces. And the second thing with puzzles that you need to pay attention to is the shape of the piece itself. Especially when it comes to these types of Survivor puzzles, looking at the shape of the pieces is very important because they're not going to all be like your standard puzzle piece where you've got like the 4 sides and 2 of those sides will have an indent, 2 of them will have a piece on the outside and they link up together like that. Each of your pieces here kind of has its own unique shape. So for example, if I ignore the color part for now and I'm just looking at the shape, there's a unique looking hook on this part here. So if I look at all my pieces, all right, which one of my pieces has that unique looking hook? My guess would be something like this, and I pair that up. And in this case, I am correct. Those pieces go together. And it's the combination of using both of these things that I talked about that will really get your puzzle game to where it needs to be. So these pieces I already found fit together. And the way I found it is by looking for that oddly shaped hook there. But I can already eliminate pieces that I have to search through by knowing the color that I'm looking for as well. Since I'm dealing with the center of my puzzle, that's your lighter orange or your yellow color. This piece right here has the lighter orange or the yellow color, so I can put that there. Since I'm looking for that specific shape in a specific color, I can ignore pieces like this because that doesn't have the right color. So I don't even have to inspect that piece closely to see if it has that weird looking hook piece, because I already can eliminate it from contention because it's not the right color or pattern. So if I wanted to keep moving with my puzzle, like I said, we have to build from the ground up. So again, I'm going to be looking for pieces in the middle that have that light orange or the yellow color. So right away, all of my darker colored pieces, I'm going to move to the side, and I'm going to bring all of my lighter color ones to the forefront, because if I'm building from the bottom up, those are the pieces that I'm probably going to want to start with. So now I have my colors separated, and I'm looking at these pieces over here. So once again, I can look at the two on the bottom. We're looking for two weird looking hook pieces. So right away, I see I've got an interesting looking hook there, so I can see if that one works. That one doesn't work. I put it to the side, and I look for the next piece. This one right here has an interesting looking hook that looks like it might match up there. If it doesn't, put it to the side. And we just keep going through our pieces like this until we find a piece that we are looking for. So right here, that piece matches up. Because I put these on paper, they're not all perfectly flat, so it's going to be a little bit awkward, but that's the piece that goes there. Now I'm looking for that hook piece on this side, so again, keep going through these pieces. This one's got an interesting looking hook. Oh, look at that. That's the correct one right there. So because I don't have to look through any of these pieces over here to find the shape that matches the puzzle, I'm saving myself a lot of time, which in Survivor is kind of the most important thing when it comes to solving your puzzle. Now this one I notice has a lot of border on it, and I'm looking for this border here. So my instincts say that piece goes there, and if I match them up, that piece does indeed go there. The more pieces I add, the more complicated this is going to get as far as the paper not lying flat and lining up perfectly like a puzzle. But this is not a problem that you're going to have to worry about in Survivor. They're usually pretty good about making sure all the pieces fit the way they want to. Next thing I noticed, that's an interesting looking piece. I think that's the other side of that, because those weird hooks line up. And again, I'm having a little bit of trouble here because I printed these on paper. I will link in the description the printout that I cut all of these pieces out from in case you want to print this out at home. I would recommend, if you have a bit more time, maybe tracing the cutout on a piece of cardboard and then cutting it out that way so all of your pieces are nice and flat. You can avoid this problem here. But just for a demonstration, this serves the purpose. So now over here, again, we have a weird looking hook thing. My first instinct is this piece right here, which I don't believe is correct. Let's see. This one upside down. Nope, that's not it either. So now we're going to want to look more towards the darker colors because we're getting close to the side. So that would be your piece right there. And we can see just on the colors we have here, we're starting to get darker. So now we might, if we want to finish out this side of the flame, move on from these pieces and look more towards these pieces because we're going to need those darker colors. So right away I notice we have a big oval there. That one's not it. That one's not it. Did I try this one yet? I did not try this one yet because that one is indeed it. I should probably be like taping these together or something. Oh, I exhaled too much. All right, I'm gonna go get some tape and tape this together, and then I'll keep working on the rest of the puzzle. All right, so now I've got it taped together, and it looks a little bit better, a little bit more stable, so we can keep moving with the same strategy that we've been doing. So again, on this side, we're getting towards the end of this section of the flame. We're getting to a darker color, so we're gonna wanna look for a piece that matches up there. So right there, what gave it away was that giant oval extruding out that side. So that's our piece right there. And now this side is done. So when we're looking back towards here or here, we're gonna need another thing like that. So we're gonna be looking at the darker colors. In the middle, that's where the lighter colors that we have left are. I'm gonna start over here because in Survivor, you wanna build from the ground up. So I'm gonna still be looking for the darker colors, and we have this tiny little indent there. So my first thought would be this might match up. That is not correct. Move that one off to the side. This one I must have missed. Yep, it's got to be this side. Yep, I don't know how I missed that. So again, small piece there. Match that up. And tape it in. I know it's taking me a little bit longer than you would typically see on Survivor, but they don't have to tape their pieces together on Survivor. They just kind of fit well because there's a bit more money in the budget for Survivor than I have here. My budget is 0. for this YouTube channel because I do not make any money off of this. I just do it for the love of the game. Alright, so now we've got the two ends done, so we're looking more towards the middle, and remember the middle has your lighter colors, so when you're looking to match up your interesting looking three droopy pieces there, we're going to be looking at our lighter colors, so my first guess would be something like this, and then that is indeed the right piece. So sometimes in Survivor they don't really lay out all their pieces because they're trying to like save time or whatever. It always helps to lay out your pieces so that you can match up what exactly it is that you are looking for. Because if you don't know where the piece you're looking for is, you're going to be wasting time. So it's always better to take a little bit of extra time in the beginning to save yourself a lot of time later on. So right now, that one looks pretty easily identifiable, pretty distinct. So that one should be easy to find. You always want to look for whatever piece you think is going to be the most distinct, because that'll be the easiest piece to find, and once you have that piece in place, another part of the puzzle might become easier to figure out and might become more distinct. Like I probably wouldn't have figured out that that piece fits in right there until I got the piece before it. So always start with your easiest, most obvious piece, because that opens up the window for other easier pieces to go in. So we have this really large piece right here. We have this really large open area here. So that one's got to go there. So we are getting towards the end of our fire puzzle here. So now we know these pieces, they've got the spikes on the top. Those are probably what we're looking for at the top. Let's see. This one over here needs something like that. Boom, whoa. I messed it up with the tape, but you know it's supposed to go there. You saw how good it looked before I put the tape on. Let's see, so these are the darker ones. This one's got the most light on it. So let's see. Yep, right there. Boom. Let's see. Oh, no. So it's got to be that right there. In. Let's see, that is easily identifiable as that piece right there. This one's got to go right here. Such a tiny little piece, I didn't even really notice it until now. And then we've got our last piece right here. And then you call Jeff's name as quickly as possible to win your immunity or reward challenge, or if we're talking about the new era, probably both at the same time. Alright, so now we've got our tree puzzle here, and we are going to employ the same strategy with this one that we did on the fire puzzle. And I know your first thought might be, Matt, how can we possibly use the same strategy when there's no real pattern of the colors here, right? We just have distinct pieces that are distinct colors, and there's really no rhyme or reason to what color goes where. The same way that in the fire puzzle, we knew that the lighter colors were in the middle and the darker ones were on the outside, and then you had that yellow border around it. And it's true that this one, we're gonna have to rely more on looking for the unique holes and extra pieces rather than the colors, but the colors can still give us a hint. If you look at the completed version of this puzzle, you'll notice that no two pieces that are the same color for the leaves of the trees are going to touch. So while we can't use the color to pinpoint where on the puzzle it goes, we do know that if we have, say, a yellow and an orange next to each other, and there's a third piece that needs to go in there, it has to be a red one. Likewise, we know if we have a red piece in and we're looking for the piece that goes next to it, it has to be a yellow or orange. We can't have two of the same color right next to each other. So we are gonna have to rely more on the shape of the pieces for this one, but we can still use the color to help us out. And if you want to be really efficient at solving these puzzles, you should use the color to help you out. So here, I'm going to be looking at first the pieces that hang onto the bottom here. So here, we notice we have a piece of the tree itself hanging down, and then a piece of the leaf that should go up right next to it. So we don't know anything about the color at the moment. So we want to look for a piece that has one of those shaped down and something up right next to it. So it looks like we found our piece right there. And once again, I'm going to take the extra time to tape our pieces in to make sure that I don't accidentally wreck the entire puzzle and ruin all the progress. So now we know there's got to be a piece right here, and we can take all of our orange pieces out of contention and only look at the yellow and the red pieces for what fits in right there. We also know there's going to be a little bit of a piece sticking out to fit in right there. So if I look at my red pieces, not that one, move it off to the side. Let's see. There's no over here, so I should be seeing that. That is not it. Well, that's not close, but I'm going to say no. It's really hard to tell what does and does not fit with these pieces, but there we go. When you find the right piece, it should be obvious. So, same idea as when Jeff always says you don't have to force any of the pieces to fit. If there's one you're like, that doesn't look quite right, chances are it isn't. So now we know we have our orange, we have our red here, so I'm looking at yellow to fill in that weird looking hole right there. Let's see. And the interesting thing about this puzzle is technically we don't know for certain that something goes in there. It just looks like it does. So I might decide to go to another piece and go back to that. If there's one particular thing that's taking you too long, always a good idea to look for something else, because when you go back to it, you'll have less pieces overall to try out and see if they fit. So I'm assuming a piece has to go in there. I don't know that for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on and look at something like that. I feel like that hook right there should be pretty distinct. I don't know what color I'm looking for in particular, but I'm looking for something with a hook. That yellow one looked like it had a hook, and it goes right there. Okay, now if I'm looking for the piece that goes on top, I'm assuming this is all one piece, so we're looking for something other than a yellow that has two things that hang down. So immediately I'm drawn to this red, which is the correct one there. Okay, and something here, I'm assuming since we have red here and yellow here, is probably an orange. However, we do also have pieces that are going to be over here, so it doesn't necessarily have to be. That's going to be my first guess. It could end up being a yellow, but in this case it is indeed an orange. What I'm noticing right now, and I might on Survivor put those two pieces together off to the side because those two definitely link up like that. So I'm going to leave those off to the side for now. I don't really know where they go, but I do know that they go together. Alright, let's work on a different area. Alright, so it looks like I've hit a little bit of a roadblock, so we gotta get back to basics. If I look at my pieces now, when I'm stuck, this one's got a very interesting thing, because we got a circle there and a thing there, and the only circle with one of those kind of like heart-shaped ones on the end will be right there. So sometimes, if you're not getting anywhere looking at the puzzle that you already have built, you can look at the pieces and see which piece is the most distinct, and that might show you where on your puzzle it should go. So that was a very distinct piece. I was able to put it right there. And now I see that we have, let's see, a little bit of a heart-shaped thing there. So my guess would be this yellow piece fits right in, which it does. So now I'm getting a little bit of momentum going just from adding that one extra piece. Momentum is huge when it comes to these kind of things. Once you get one piece, the other ones tend to fall into place pretty quickly. So I'm guessing over here we probably have an orange, and now I'm noticing that that looks like it lines up perfectly there, which it does. Okay, this one looks like it fits there, which it does, and now we've got a big circle there, which tells us that this piece probably goes there, right? Yep. So always look for something distinct. That big circle is very distinct, so I immediately, upon seeing those two pieces make it, knew that one goes there, and I put this off to the side because I had already identified that those two pieces have to go together. So now we are kind of getting to the end of our puzzle here. I would assume that's it for this little section down here, unless something fits like in here, which I doubt. We still have these three open bits here. There we go. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of orange there, so that's what I was saying earlier about Even though the colors aren't as important as they were in the fire puzzle, I still knew that there had to be an orange piece here because there was a huge section without a lot of orange. I only had one orange piece left, so it fit right in that spot. So now, there's that red one right there. I'm assuming this goes right on there. Yep, so that was the only piece with that distinct kind of outward circle. This I had already identified has to go there because that's the only piece with that end there. So we are one piece away from solving our puzzle. We've got one heart thing left. Do I see any of those? Yes, right here. So that was the one that I skipped and said I would come back to a long time ago. I was able to figure out where it was because that was the only piece I have left, and now my puzzle is finished. Now, I know I only showed you how to step-by-step solve the fire puzzle and the tree puzzle, but this same process will work for any basic puzzle. You're always going to want to start by separating your pieces by color and or pattern. That way you know, all right, this piece needs to have this color or pattern, so I'm putting all these other pieces off to the side, and now I have a smaller pool to work with. And then you're going to want to look for, all right, what stands out about this specific cut? Is there like a big circle piece that I can look for? Is there kind of like a wavy pattern? Is there like a heart pattern like what we saw in the tree puzzle? Anything distinct about the shape of the piece that you're looking for that'll help you narrow down once you already have it sorted by color or pattern to find the piece you're looking for. The only other advice for puzzles that I have is do not panic. Puzzles are a very logical thing. You need your brain to logically go through what piece I need to put where, put that piece, move on to the next one. If you start panicking, you're not going to be thinking straight, which means you're not going to be able to find your piece, which is going to kill all of your momentum and cause you to lose the puzzle. So there you have it, how to solve the fire puzzle, the tree puzzle, and any other basic puzzle that Survivor can throw at you. Thank you all for watching the video. If you liked it, please drop a like and subscribe. I would appreciate that a lot. And if you work at CVS, give me a call. See you next time, everyone.